I spent 10 years paying off my sister's debt and funding her lifestyle, only to find out she hand-delivered my wedding invitation to the trash can because I didn't fit her aesthetic. My name is Leo, and for 32 years I was the fixer for the Miller family. In our small town of Oakhaven, the Millers were known for two things: looking like $1 million and having about 50 cents in the bank. My younger sister, Mia, was the star. She was a lifestyle influencer before that was even a word. She lived in a boutique apartment in Silver Ridge that I co-signed for. When her car's transmission gave out, I was the one who paid for the tow and the repair. When our mother, Helen, felt slighted by a neighbor or couldn't cover her property taxes, I was the one who spent 3 hours on the phone listening to her vent before wiring the cash. I worked 70-hour weeks in corporate logistics to ensure their aesthetic never cracked. I was the human safety net, but apparently, safety nets are meant to be stepped on, not seen. The betrayal didn't happen with a bang. It happened with a ping. It was a Tuesday evening. I was sitting in my home office, finishing up a budget report for my firm. I saw Mia's Instagram story. It was a professionally shot, slow-motion video of her and her fiancé, Julian, in a sun-drenched room in Marble Creek. They were sealing envelopes with custom gold wax stamps. The caption read, "Final guest list finalized. Only our closest, most supportive inner circle invited to our dream day in the Azure Highlands. To those who made the cut, see you at the Starlight Manor. To everyone else, we love you from afar." I waited. I checked my mail. I checked my spam folder. I even went out and checked behind the radiator in my hallway, thinking maybe the mailman had dropped it. 3 days passed. Nothing. I called Mia. She didn't pick up. I called my mom, Helen. "Oh, Leo," Helen sighed, her voice already dripping with that practiced, dismissive pity. Mia was under so much stress. The venue in the Azure Highlands, the Starlight Manor, is incredibly exclusive. It has a very strict, very small capacity. "Difficult choices?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Mom, I'm her brother. I paid for her engagement party at the Vineyard Estates. I literally paid the $5,000 deposit for the florist she's using. How am I a difficult choice to cut?" "It's not personal, sweetheart," Mom said. "Julian's family is very high society. They're from Etheria Heights. They needed more spots for their business associates and donors. Mia thought you'd be the one person who would understand. You've always been the stable one. You don't need the spotlight to know we love you." The stable one. That was the code for the one who pays the bills but doesn't get a seat at the table. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. Something inside me just turned off. I realized that to them, I wasn't a brother. I was a utility. I was the electricity. Everyone notices when it's gone, but nobody thanks the wires while the lights are on. I hung up, opened my laptop, and did something I had never done in my life. I had set aside $50,000 over the last 2 years. That was supposed to be Mia's wedding gift, a down payment on a house for her and Julian. Instead, I booked a trip. Not just any trip. I booked a solo, 14-day excursion to the Cerulean Coast, an isolated luxury peninsula 3,000 miles away. I booked a suite at the Azure Reach Resort, a place so expensive they don't even put the prices on the website. I then sent a short, professional email to the wedding florist, the caterer, and the coordinator at Starlight Manor. I had been the one who signed the initial intent-to-pay documents. I told them that as of today, my credit card on file was to be removed and that all future billing should be directed to the bride and groom's personal accounts. Then I disappeared. The day of the wedding arrived. While the Miller family was putting on their rented tuxedos and silk gowns in the Highlands, I was stepping onto a private boat in Porto Mira. The air smelled like salt and expensive jasmine. I took a photo. Me in a linen shirt, holding a glass of 30-year-old scotch, with the sun setting over the jagged cliffs of the Obsidian Bay. The caption was simple: "When you're cut from the inner circle, you might as well find a better circle. Cheers from the Cerulean Coast. I hit post and turned my phone to Do Not Disturb. I went to a 5-course dinner where the chef prepared the meal at my table. I felt lighter than air, but 3 hours later, curiosity got the best of me. I checked the family group chat. It was like watching a nuclear reactor melt down in real time. The dream wedding at Starlight Manor had turned into a catastrophe before the first course was even served. Apparently, Julian's high society associates from Etheria Heights hadn't just brought prestige, they'd brought drama. Julian's ex-fiancée had shown up, and because Mia hadn't paid for the premium security package I had originally suggested, there was nobody to stop her from walking right up to the altar. But that wasn't the breaking point. The Starlight Manor had a pay-to-play policy. The final balance for the open bar and the gourmet catering had to be cleared via a verified wire transfer before the reception could begin. Mia had assumed, without ever asking, that I would be monitoring my email to handle the unforeseen overages. The chat log was a graveyard of desperation. Mia, 4 p.m. Leo, pick up! The coordinator says the bar is locked. I can't find the login for the joint account you set up. Where are you? Mom, 4:15 p.m. Leo, this is cruel. Your sister is in the bridal suite having a panic attack. We know you're mad about the invite, but to sabotage her wedding like this? Transfer the funds now. You're ruining everything. Julian, 4:30 p.m. Man, look, I know we haven't talked much, but my parents' friends are sitting here with empty glasses. It's embarrassing. Just cover the $12,000 for the bar, and we'll settle up after the honeymoon. Don't be that guy. I felt a surge of cold, crystalline clarity. I wasn't sabotaging anything. I was simply not there. I was the person they had difficultly chosen to exclude. I typed one reply into the group chat. I'm sorry, I thought I was an afterthought, and afterthoughts don't pay for the main event. Julian, if your parents are so high society, I'm sure they have a credit card. Enjoy the Highlands. The coast is lovely this time of year. I didn't just mute the chat, I blocked them. I blocked the florist. I blocked the coordinator. I even blocked the mutual friends I knew would try to guilt-trip me. I spent the next week hiking the Crystal Ridge, dining in the village of Porto Mira, and sleeping through the night without a single anxiety-induced dream about Mia's boutique apartment or my mother's emergencies. When I finally unblocked them a week later, the carnage was worse than I imagined. The wedding had ended at 8 p.m. The guests had left early because there was no food or drink. The high society parents were so embarrassed they refused to help Mia with the bills. Mia was now being sued by the venue for the unpaid balance of $22,000. My mother was waiting on my porch in Oakhaven when I got home. She looked like she hadn't slept in a month. You ruined our family's name, she hissed. Everyone in Oakhaven is talking about how you abandoned your sister on her darkest day. How could you be so petty over a seat at a dinner table? It wasn't about the seat, Mom, I said, putting my bags down. It was about the fact that you all thought my only value was what I could provide, not who I am. You wanted a wedding without me? You got exactly what you asked for. But you don't get to have a wedding without me and use my sweat and blood to pay for it. The fixer is retired. Find someone else to co-sign your life. She stood there, speechless, as I walked inside and locked the door. You know, there's a specific kind of light you only see when the bridge behind you is finally, completely on fire. It's terrifying, yes, but it's also the brightest thing I've ever seen. For years, I believed that love was a transaction. I believed that if I held the umbrella long enough, eventually, someone would notice I was the one getting soaked. But as I sat on that balcony in the Azure Reach, watching the tide pull the sand back into the deep, I realized the truth. Some people don't want you in the photo, they just want you to hold the camera. They want your strength, your silence, and your sacrifice, but they find your presence inconvenient to the story they want to tell the world. They call me petty. They call me a villain. But standing here now, in a house that finally feels like mine and not a bank for their mistakes, I realize that no is the most expensive word in the world, and it's worth every damn penny. Let them have their Highlands, let them have their Starlight Manor and their empty dry receptions. I'll keep the coast, because I'd rather be alone in paradise than a ghost at a table where I'm only invited to pay the check. The fixer is gone, and for the first time in 32 years, I'm finally home.